What's going down, everybody? It's your boy Big Druski, and welcome to another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Druski. Today's episode is brought to you by Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows. You can find them on Instagram at mostly safe and the number 8 behind that. What you're gonna do when you get to their profile, you're gonna hit the follow button. After you hit the follow button, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click the link in their profile, and that's gonna run you over to their Etsy store. Their Etsy store is gonna get you a very, very, very nice and premium made space bucket for growing cannabis or anything else that you want to grow in it, that you can grow in a small condensed area in some soil. That's all I'm saying. Space bucket that we have is their premium model Jabberwocky, aka their Rain Man model space bucket. Now, what that includes is a modified bucket with 2 fans, one intake, one exhaust. Those have some spacers in between to lessen the light leakage. Now, inside that bucket, it's going to be lined with foil tape. You're going to also get a 2 spacer setup LED light spacer. Now, that light spacer equals to about 100 watts of extra light. If you get the premium model, you're going to get a 180 watt Apollo horticulture UFO LED lamp. Man, that thing works. It's just boss. I'm telling you, I have it myself and it's awesome. You're also going to get 2 additional spacers, your power strip, light timer, and an instruction packet on everything that you need to do. It comes with your space bucket kit. Now, these are made for you when you order, so it does take some time. But our sponsor does make sure that you get these in a prompt fashion. So, if you support Space Bucket Growing with Druski, the podcast that teaches you and recaps how to grow cannabis in a space bucket, then go ahead when you have some money, because it's going to be a little expensive. It's a nice little investment, but hey, like I said, I have it and I love this thing. So, make sure you go over, click the link in their Instagram, run over to Etsy, look up Rain Man Micro Grows. I'm telling you, do it now. What's going down, everybody? Look, check this out. If you support the Space Bucket Growing with Druski podcast, what I need you guys to do is like and subscribe to the podcast. It's really important to me that you guys do this because it shows me everybody's listening, and whoever's listening and getting this info, spread the word to your friends who haven't. And if they're interested in growing, we're doing our recap today of everything that's happened with Tinkerbells Revenge. So like and subscribe to the podcast, and we're going to get right into it. This is the official recap of Tinkerbells Revenge. I know, right? I missed out on doing a couple of weeks of updates, and that's going to be covered here in this recap that I've been writing for past couple of weeks now, just to get everything going, and because I knew it was time for harvest. That's the most important thing to this. I actually knew this was it. It was time, ready to go. So I started to flush with pH water and the Nectar for the Gods Herculean Harvest. It's just liquid bone meal. So I flushed and flushed and flushed some more. And about 2 weeks went by where I flushed. And it's looking really, really good. So what I did was I decided to skip the splitting method that I originally planned on doing, because of how I had set up the smart pot in the soil. I didn't want to go digging out extra amounts of soil and doing all that. I kind of got excited when I saw 70% orange hairs. First thing. That, I knew right there, it's on and popping. I'm getting this thing harvested. You ain't stopping me. I'm going full on. So, with that being said, I grabbed my Fiskars and I proceeded to clip. Popped that thing right off in one good snap, and I took off the LED light spacer and the UFO from the space bucket, I put on 2 additional spacers and shortened it by about 2 spacers and put a regular lid on it. The lid is a teriyaki lid from one of those teriyaki 5-gallon buckets, and it's got the porthole on it. So I got a hanger, flipped her up, put her on the hanger, and she's now inside the space bucket being dried. So that's what's been going on with Tinkerbell. Today, we're going to read off the official recap of pretty much everything that went down with this plan. So, we're going to get into it on October 7th, 2017. I planted Tinkerbell's Revenge seed, and all was good. Now, using our sponsored Rayman model space bucket, the additional 100-watt LED spacer, the 100-watt LED spacer, and the 180-watt Apollo Holoculture space UFO with the modified buckets, of course, we got to work. We planted the seed in organic soil mixed with some perlite for drainage, and we watered the soil until it was moist, and then we made a hole size about my ring finger, popped the Tinkerbell's Revenge seed in and covered the soil, watered a little bit more, and got to work. At this point, we did not know if we had planted a male or a female, but we knew that we were going to be growing something, and it was going to be cannabis. If anything went wrong, which it couldn't have gone wrong, male or female at that point, we would have shipped the male off to a partner's house, and we would have popped some more beans. Fortunately enough, we didn't have to do that. We got real lucky on this. So this seed had a really, really nice presentation to it. This is the reason why I picked it. It was nice, dark. The tiger stripes were really, really pronounced. It was a nice, fat, plump seed, and that's the one I picked. So I decided to go with that. From there, I went with the Nectar for the Gods sample pack nutrient regimen of Medusa's Magic, Gaia Mania, and Zeus Juice, and I only used a 1/4 teaspoon each per gallon of water. So we put that in a 1-gallon pot. We knew, it's a 1-gallon pot. We're not going to be watering it too much, but we did water everything just to get it moist enough to have a little bit of runoff and let that sit. Now, a couple of days in, I checked just to make sure the soil was still wet. I did have to splash a little bit more water on there, but it wasn't too much. So we waited it out. From this point, it took 6 days. On to October 13th, 2017. Now, that was the day that from soil we saw life. So 6 days in, the first of the leaves that popped out, and the UFO LED went to work. That's 6 days to where the first real node starts to grow in, and this is when I should have started topping LSD training, like dead serious. Like I knew I was going to be close to doing all of that, but I didn't want to. And the reason why I didn't want to was because the last 2 grows didn't go so well, and it was really frustrating to have all of that happen right at the point of no return. Like, damn it. Right at flower, heat wave kicks in and completely destroys my babies. I was heartbroken. But we knew, that we were in a prime growing season, so we went to work. After that, October 19th pops up. Another 6 days. New leaves are starting to grow in, and they're also starting to grow in huge. still watering using the Nectar for the Gods sample pack regimen water that we had mixed up in that. So we're lightly watering, nothing too heavy in the 1 gallon, but it's doing enough. Once it started to pop out those first set of big leaves after sending it off to the 24 hours of lighting that it was on, we flipped to 18.6. 18 hours on, 6 hours off. I had estimated by this point on October 19th that we're going to be about 3 weeks in to flipping it to 12-12. Just about how fast we were looking on growth. Next time we gave it a little update was October 23rd. On the 23rd, those indica traits that you see, real big indica leaves, they got real big serrated blades on them. Those were popping. That was its veg stage. Those big, fat indica leaves. Man, I'm telling you, if you look at the pot, if you look at the Instagram will show you. October 23rd, 2017, you'll be able to see like what really went down. Pop on from the 23rd to the 27th, 3 nodes, stretching. I'm talking about wide. Leaves are huge at this point. Now, I knew from my first 2 grows that root bound can happen real fast. So I decided to give it a little bit more time, maybe about a week, and we're on the week 5 in November 7th. That's transplant day. That's when I was like, this is going to get to the point of where I can't do this anymore and it's going to just not grow. So let's prevent that and transplant. I got lucky not having root rot and it being root bound. I knew it. From this point on, I transplanted the plant into a 3-gallon smart pot filled with organic soil and perlite. And then we watered with early flower mix water from Nectar for the Gods. 10 hours later, you could already start to see new growth in height. I thought this thing was an auto at that point because it was growing way too fast. But didn't know too much about this plant. If you've gone and searched Tinkerbells Revenge on any strain site, things on this are about 5 to 6 years old. Minimum 5 years old. And to have it in my hands, oh man, I can't wait until it's done drying and then I can cure it. But when it's done drying, y'all can guarantee I'm smoking another sample. But from what I understand about this grow phase stuff too, the LED lights is what helped that. So that 10 hours later, thank you, CJ. I'm telling you, it's awesome. We pop over to November 10th. Now today, I gave her first haircut. She was really, really fluffy. And if you go on our Instagram page, that's at whatarewedoing_podcast, you'll actually see it. It's just big, fat indica leaves on this short, bushy plant filling up a space bucket. So from here, I defoliated. I should have taken off the larvae, but I didn't. Like I said earlier, I haven't completed a grow yet. Not at this point. So, I wanted to at least get one in. And that's kind of where I left it. So, I got the big leaves off that blocked the penetrating light. And I did my job. Side note on this. Now that I've completed a grow, right? I've done it. I'm mad I didn't take off the larvae pot. And I see it in the buds that I do have versus the buds that I could have had just by all the extra nutrients going to the buds that were there. If you feel what I'm saying. What I mean by that is the less that the plant has to distribute to nutrients, the bigger the buds are going to be. So it was just one of those things. I haven't completed a grow yet. I want to complete a grow. I don't want to do anything crazy. I know this thing bounces back like a champion. I'm not ready for all that. I just want to learn the basics of growing cannabis. And that's what I did. Now, we're going to pop over to November 17th. 6 weeks in. So this is 6 weeks of vegetative state. A month and 2 weeks later, we flipped from veg to flower. Now, that I switched the timer to 18.6, and my dark period is from 9:30 p.m. 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. My light period is from 9:30 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. And I did that so that the coldest part of the night here in Vegas is the hottest part of the night or the day for the plant, because the 100-watt LED spacer is rolling and the 180-watt UFO is generating heat inside the bucket, plus the fans are moving around the air. I'm not tripping at all about temperature in that space bucket, especially when it's 43 degrees at night, and that's 3 in the morning. So that means my house drops down about 60. Yeah. So I think throughout this whole grow, I had maintained an average of at least like 63, 64 degrees in there. Couldn't tell you. I've got the temperature module and the other bucket. Sorry, CJ. From here, I also... Sorry about that, y'all. Smoke, coughs. I switched from using just a quarter teaspoon of the nutrient mix. When I was mixing the nutrients and following the regimen from Nectar for the Gods, I went to the full recommended dosage of mix per gallon of water. This way, buds get nice and fat. We get it nice, and the terps are all nice in there. Big flavor, big buds. We wanted to go all out. So that's what happened. From here on out, the recap is as follows. From November 17th on, I did not defoliate anything. Every few days, I fed. I fed twice a week. Any other time was water, and that was twice a week. And it was only a half gallon of each in the 3-gallon smart pot. Full half gallon will get you runoff. Not a lot of runoff, but runoff. I gave it just enough. I stretched this plant to just enough water every time I fed it. The reason why I did that is because I wanted to drink up all that water and intake all the nutrients I gave it. So, half gallon water, 3-gallon smart pot. I did water more often but it was a half gallon, and a quarter teaspoon and mix per gallon, and then dosing it in a 2-day span. And then you wait, and then you water for 2 days. You're activating everything. You're getting the soil re-moistened up. You're not draining everything else out. You're refeeding it back into the plant if it's stuck into the soil. So that was my philosophy about that. Not everybody needs to follow that. It's just what I did during my grow, and that's something I wanted to tell you guys, because that was something that I really didn't kind of disclose on Instagram, but that's what I did. I watered back to back, then I waited, and then I watered back to back. Then I waited 2 days, and I followed the process. So from there till January 13th, that's all I did. And on January 13th was the day I decided to harvest the plant. 75% of the hairs were nice and red. The plant was so oily I had to go throw gloves on, and that's when I harvested. And now we're sitting here using the space bucket as a dryer. We've got clones going of Tinkerbells Revenge right now. We've got one that's a few weeks, maybe a month old, and this thing is ugly, but we're going to get into that later. This is the recap of Tinkerbells Revenge. Right now we're waiting on the drying process. We're going to dry, and then we're going to cure. We're going to do a 2-week cure, recommended by our sponsor, and I did it. I've grown. I did the very basic thing you can do to grow cannabis. I did have a controlled environment to do it in. I had no problems. I didn't have any bug problems. I had no mold problems. I didn't have any heat problems. I didn't have any cold problems. I didn't have any nutrient problems. Nothing about this plant gave me problems. Thank you, Jesus. Wintertime's my time to grow. That's all I know. When I grow, I'm going hard in the wintertime. Temperatures are a lot better. I'm telling you. And you can get away with it, too. You know what I'm saying? Especially growing in the space bucket. I was reading this forum, and actually it was our forum. We're on Facebook as well. You can look us up, Space Bucket Microgrows. One of the admins, and if you listen to this and you like this, and then you follow and you subscribe to the podcast, make sure you swing over to Facebook too and join our group, and get in on the conversation and show off your pictures of growing in the space bucket. We really do appreciate everybody pushing the space bucket movement, you know what I'm saying? And your ideas on space bucket, that's what makes it important, because you designed it. You designed it for your space and what you need and what strains you're going to be growing. So that's the dope thing to me, is that you guys, come over to Facebook too and join in on it. So this was just, man, a learning experience for me. But back to the forum. The question was, how can I grow without my roommates knowing? And I said a space bucket with carbon filters. You weed out the smell. You can fit the thing in your closet, and ain't nobody gonna know. And if you're really good and handy with tools, you can build one yourself. That's the other dope thing about Space Bucket. You can build it. You don't have to, commission anything. If you're not, we're here for you. But you can customize these things to your lifestyle. That's the dope thing about it. But that's what I would do. What would y'all do? Check that out. You know what I'm saying? Join the group. Join in on the conversation. And hit us up on Instagram too. I'm going to be posting that as a question of the day. So check it out, you guys. Alright. This is the recap. Tinkerbells Revenge. I'm Big Druski. Joining in. Getting high. I ate an edible earlier. I'm super loaded. And then I've been smoking too. So. But, I wanted to let you guys know that Tinkerbell's Revenge has finished. She's done. It's been a nice long grow. Actually, not too long at all. October, November, December, and halfway into January. 3.5 months. 4 at the max. Perfect time. I had nothing but it, and I'm glad I took the time to learn. So if you guys got any questions, hit us up. What are we doing _podcast? You can also add my personal Instagram, Druski702, DRUSKI 702. The number 7, the number 0, and the number 2. Make sure you follow our sponsor, Rain Man Space Bucket Micro Grows, on Instagram at mostly safe and the number 8. Make sure you hit the like button on this podcast and then subscribe to the podcast. Once again, I'm your boy and we are out.